Hello everybody. I'm going to do a quick video for my friend Boomer, who's made a comment asking about our buffing and stuff on our Torino here. So the shop is a total disaster, but I'm just going to walk around and talk about little things that are going on, different stages. This is a 1950 Dodge Power Wagon here that is being fit up for the first time ever with an actual pickup truck box. I believe this truck probably came without a bed and was probably fitted with various homemade wooden farm boxes and things like that over its lifetime. And in this restoration effort, we're actually putting an actual correct pickup truck type box on it. Only this one has been shortened by 1 foot. We made a short box out of it. We also shortened the frame on this truck here. But what's happening here is we've got a lot of parts that are well along their way in body work. A lot of these have had to have been repaired, some pretty extensively with a variety of dent work and rust issues, areas that had to be cut out and new pieces either created by hand or ordered online and cut and fit and welded in and body worked. And a lot of this stuff is still in the body work stages, but it's the best time for us to fit things, especially things that have maybe never fit together before. So in the case of this truck, we've got these forward running boards that were original to the truck, but we're adding these rear running board sections that we never had. And so it's just to get it all paired up and running along on the same plane at the right height and parallel and level and all that sorts of thing. Checking bolt holes so they line up. Just making clearances for holes that don't want to line up perfectly. A lot of stuff that you don't want to do once you get further along in the paint. Like this, all this stuff is in epoxy. That's what we like to do after our initial body work, is get some epoxy primer on the stuff, so it's safe to handle with the bare hands, so we don't have panels and pieces rusting on us and stuff. So that's how a lot of these body panels will exist for a good portion of the project during their trip through our shop here. In this back room, this is more of a dedicated sanding room. We've got basically an entire 1977 F-250 in here as far as the body panels. And again, a lot of metal work has been done. New bed sides and inner wheelhouse has been put on. Cab corners, floor pans, some A-pillar arch work, roof repairs, all kinds of stuff. Between dent and rust issues, there's been cutting and fabricating and welding happening on all these parts here. And then we get pretty extensive with the body work. Some of these panels will be skim coated with body filler after we're happy with our metal work. We can get it as best we can. And then block sanded. We do all our sanding by hand block sand. And depending on how many, if we have sand throughs and bare metal showing, first of all, we start out with epoxy on the bare metal. We do our body work as far as our filler work, and then when we have bare metal sand throughs, we go back and we epoxy again, just to make sure we're protecting any bare metal stuff. And we keep going with that regimen until our block sanding isn't revealing any more bare metal exposure during our sanding efforts. We eventually transition from the epoxy primers to a polyester. Most of these parts in here are in a polyester primer right now. And most of them are very close to going back in for 2K, and we use the 2K primer mostly for scratch correction. We lean as hard as we can on the polyester primer because it's the highest solids content in a primer or a paint for that matter. It has the least amount of shrink. So that equates to good longevity down the road. You get a paint job that looks nice and straight on day one, and it still looks nice and straight 10, 15 years later, rather than some of these quick jobs like you see on the TV shows where they bang them out in a couple of weeks or even a month. Those cars aren't going to stay looking very nice for very long because the products are still shrinking under the paint. And they lean pretty heavy on the 2K primers, which we try not to. We try not to do any building, any surfacing with 2K because we know it's going to shrink. We just use it for one coat as final scratch correction before we're getting ready for color coats. But my point is, lots of extensive body work and hand blocking before we've got the confidence to go forward and spray our color coats. We spray our color coats, and I'm going to turn on a light here. These fenders are an example of some off-the-gun paint. So this stuff, it's got a pretty decent reflection. It's shiny and everything. It's all dusty right now, but it's pretty much got the finish like a car, new car on the showroom or something like that. We go around afterward. Now typically for us, we go like 4 coats of clear. We use a WS400 Iwata with a 1.3 tip. And this particular job was Sikkens Auto Clear Performance LV, I think it was the clear coat. And they're all AkzoNobel products. The base coat was also a Sikkens product. The body here has had all of its initial sanding and compounding done, so it's relatively slick. We've just got it sitting in here just because we don't have room out in the main shop. We're kind of jammed up with projects, so we've got it sitting in the paint booth. But this is cut and buffed to the wool pad compound level, and we'll go further eventually. Will be foam pad and polish. But before we do that, we go around and we find little nibs. We call them nibs, little bumps in the paint and stuff, little imperfections that we don't like, and we'll block them down by hand. That's what we see, all these little spots like this. These are little areas that we've hit and knocked down before we start machine sanding. And when we go to machine sanding, we everything's got to be super clean. We use a lot of glass cleaner and soft disposable towels, and blow everything off, dust, wipe everything off, and then we actually use dry films. I use dry films with an interface pad, and I believe my DA that I use, my Hutchins, is like I think it's like a 3/16 throw on the DA action, so relatively tight throw on it. It's as gentle as we can be with the foam interface pad. We start with 1,000 grit, and we're looking to get to the bottom of the orange peel. And it's you can see when you get there, once you get to the bottom of the orange peel, you switch over to 1500, and then we go to more flexible films in our 2000 and our 3000. A lot of shops are going further now. They're going, 5,000 and above, and there's really no right or wrong process. It's just we've got confidence in the process that we do, so we sort of lock into it. We use a foamed wool pad, and we use rotary, straight rotary. We use a compound. Our compound is made by Sonax. It's a German compound, and our polish is also from the same company. So it's 4 steps of sanding, and then we follow it with typically 3-4 passes on the compound with the polisher, with the wool pad, and then a couple of passes with foam pads with the polish. But this door I'm working on right now, the top half here, this is what it looks like sanded. So this is just clear coat that's been sanded to 3000. So, and then this is after, I think I hit 2 passes so far with the wool pad. I'll probably hit it 2 more times and move up to the next panel section. Certain panels we like to buff off the vehicle. Fenders typically are not panels that we like to buff off the vehicle. Usually like to have the fenders bolted onto the vehicle. It just makes it easier. They're awkward pieces to handle. But that's basically it, I guess. Don't know if that helps you out a lot. I think it's probably stuff you already knew, but it's just it just takes a lot of time. Talk to you later.